I don't know. It's just like something that you just learn to live with. I don't really know how to explain it.
A broken-hearted boy learning to live with the loss of his father. 13-year-old Matthew is the son of Corporal Keith Heacook, left behind when he was killed in the line of duty 1 year ago. It was a devastating death that impacted so many.
Yes, it did, including, of course, his colleagues at the Delmar Police Department. Now, while they continue to grieve each and every day, they've also worked to improve their protocols so that something like this never happens again. Delmar Life's Katie Zurilli sat down with Lieutenant Wade Alexander, who worked alongside Corporal Heacook for more than 2 decades.
Covered in cards, lined with letters.
It's overwhelming.
This is the training room at the Delmar Police Department. On its walls, messages from across the nation, an overflowing show of support after the untimely death of Corporal Keith Heacook.
Well, I was obviously home when I got notified, and obviously shock and awe.
April 25th of last year, an early morning phone call that Lieutenant Wade Alexander will never forget.
I'm just in disbelief.
Corporal Heacook was brutally assaulted upon responding to a call of a fight in progress. He died days later.
I didn't think that there could ever be anything like that could ever happen in Delmar.
Lieutenant Alexander started his career with the Delmar Police Department more than 3 decades ago. Of the 31 years he's been here, Keith Heacook was there for 22.
Keith was very jovial, always happy, loved food. So he had quite the palate and taste for various foods, especially like he loved Oriental food. I know he would go to Philadelphia quite a bit and go to the markets up there and that sort of thing. And then, of course, later in life, he had Matthew. It seemed like at that point in time, it was like he just was then dedicated to his son and his wife, Sue. I mean, he loved his family.
A family man and a committed cop.
Keith was very dedicated to his job. He was very focused. When he had a case that required a lot of investigation, I mean, he really committed a lot of time to make sure he covered every aspect of that case from the time that he got the initial call to the prosecution time. So very thorough in his work. All the business owners in town knew who Keith Heacook was. He made an effort to make sure he stopped in to all the businesses and made himself known who he was and wanted to introduce himself and that sort of thing.
A big life makes for a big loss.
Still, we're on the road to recovery now. It's never going to be the same. But, it gets better a little bit every day.
Especially with the support of an unrelenting community.
We had so much community support. It was phenomenal. I mean, we had so much food being brought in on a daily basis. I don't think any of us had to cook dinner for like 3 months because we had enough food to take home every night. So much that we, even donated some to charity, so to help feed the homeless and that sort of thing.
It's a loss they're learning from, though. They've adjusted certain protocols so as to not allow Corporal Heacook's death to be in vain.
We've changed our patrol tactics, or scheduling, to try to make sure that we have 2 officers on at all times. And although, sometimes we don't have the coverage that we would like to have, I think it also has helped to open the eyes of the elected officials in town, and giving us the opportunity to have more positions and take the steps necessary to be able to hire people and to make it more competitive to be able to want to come here.
An awareness that's spread to other areas, too.
I saw a lot of agencies take steps to ensure that, one, there was no lack of coverage and, the ability to retain more officers, not only keep the ones that you have, but make it more enticable to hire officers.
Imperative as they may be, these changes, of course, won't bring Corporal Keith Heacook back. Members of this department know that, and so they're intentional about remembering and honoring him.
I keep his challenge coin right up here on my windowsill. And we have things around the department, and of course, little monuments here and there. We've got some plaques.
Even Corporal Heacook's patrol car is marked for its former operator. Each and every tribute pales in comparison to the real thing, though, the person of Keith Heacook.
He did bring a sense of joy and funniness. Keith was he had this great laugh. So I was a one of a kind laugh, and whenever he would tell a joke or say something funny, his face would get as red as the bottom of that camera holder there. It was just. I mean, just Keith. I mean, just a great guy.
A faithful police officer and an even finer person. I asked Lieutenant Alexander what he'd say to Corporal Heacook if he had the chance.
I would say that we miss him, and we wish he was still here. And it's a tragedy that something like this had to happen. So, I don't want to see this happen to anybody that I know ever again. I mean, it's tough for everyone in the person's family, and it's just a tragedy, and I hope justice is served on the guy that did it.
Fallen, but never forgotten. No doubt Corporal Keith Heacook's legacy will live on in this department for decades to come.
Lieutenant Alexander says that Thursday the 28th, the day of Heacook Fest 2022, would have been 22 years and 9 months for Corporal Heacook at the Delmar Police Department. An amazing thing.
It is. And it wasn't just the Delmar Police Department that this tragedy affected. I remember hearing from other law enforcement officers in other agencies around the area. It affected them as well.
Yeah. I really like that they marked his card. It's a rolling tribute to Corporal Heacook.